So Sergey Kovalev, his promoter Kathy Duva, his trainer John David Jackson, and the rest of his team are very unhappy following his loss to Andre Ward. Kathy Duva in particular has been very vocal. She's been highly critical of the judges, highly critical of the referee. She suggested that Andre Ward consider a career in UFC, seeming to imply that he did very little else in the fight other than wrestle and hold. So there's a lot of bitterness there from Team Kovalev. But sour grapes will not help Kovalev win a rematch. And what do I mean by that? Well, before the fight, a lot of people were picking Kovalev to knock Andre Ward out. And I suspect that Kovalev and his whole team were expecting to knock Andre Ward out. Now, why do I say this? Well, a lot of people have called into question the fact that there were 3 American judges, judging the fight. They're saying there should have been neutral judges. There shouldn't have been any American judges, or at least there should have been a Russian judge in there, etc. Well, Sergey Kovalev is the one who chose to give Andre Ward a title shot. Sergey Kovalev was the champion. Yeah, so essentially he was in the driving seat. If Kovalev said, I don't want the fight don't take place. So him and his team, if they were so concerned before the fight about neutral judges, they should have insisted on it. They should have said, look, either it's neutral judges or you don't get a title shot. Simple as that. But they didn't insist on neutral judges. They were seemingly happy with the judges, happy with the ref and all that kind of stuff before the fight. I have to reiterate once again, Kovalev was the champion. Andre Ward was being given an opportunity against the champion. So Kovalev and his team were not worried about having 3 American judges pre-fight. Why? Because in my view, they did not think the fight was going to go 12 rounds. That right there is a mistake. And this is why I'm telling you, sour grapes is not going to win this guy the rematch. You have to look at what you did wrong the first time around and acknowledge the mistakes you made. If indeed the 3 judges being American was a mistake. Now, potentially it could be a mistake. I wouldn't advise a fight of that magnitude to have 3 judges all from the country of one of the fighters. I certainly wouldn't advise that. But I didn't have a problem with the scorecards myself. Be that as it may, that could be a lesson learned right there for Kovalev and his team. And what Kathy Duva was talking about in the ring in terms of Andre Ward and MMA. Well, if you actually watch the fight, and Kathy Duva's biased, she's the promoter of Sergey Kovalev, so she's not going to watch the fight from a neutral perspective. She's going to see a very skewed view of what's actually going on in the ring. If you watch the fight, and I've watched it several times now, the person who was initiating most of the clinches was actually Sergey Kovalev. Andre Ward is a guy who likes to punch out of clinches. Yeah, he'll get involved in a clinch, but he'll punch out. That's part of his game. He likes fighting on the inside. You'll often see in Andre Ward fights where he gets a hand free. One of his arms is being clinched and he has the other arm free and he's working with the free arm. That's perfectly legitimate in boxing. You're allowed to work with a free arm. Yeah, many referees you'll hear at times in fights saying, you've got an arm free, throw punches or I'm going to break you. And so you look at most of the clinches in the fight, particularly in the second half of the fight, and Andre Ward's trying to punch out of the clinches. Kovalev's not trying to punch out. He's just trying to hold Ward and walk him back to the ropes. And that was obviously part of his strategy. And he was definitely the stronger man on the inside. But for Kathy Duva to say, oh, well, Ward was holding. Well, no, actually, Kovalev was holding. He was the one that didn't want to work in the clinches. So again, the sour grapes is not going to help Kovalev win the rematch. He has to recognize and learn what he did wrong first time around so he can correct it in the rematch if he wants to win it. And his whole team need to understand that. They can't keep focusing on the judges and the referee and all this kind of stuff. If they focus on all that and ignore the mistakes that Kovalev made in the ring, then he's going to lose the rematch much more clearly than he lost the first fight. If indeed you thought he lost the first fight at all. The rematch is going to be worse for him, I'm telling you, unless he learns what he did wrong in the ring. Another thing, which, Kathy Duva and the whole team are not talking about, is the fact that Kovalev was the guy doing most of the stalking in the fight, particularly the first half of the fight. Ward was doing a lot of moving. Some would say running. Well, if a guy is running, you need to take those legs away. Take that movement away. What do? You go to the body. Where was Sergey Kovalev's body attack? Why was it Andre Ward, the guy who was doing most of the moving, who was more concentrated on going to the body than the guy doing the stalking? That's a mistake on Kovalev's part. This is what they should be angry with themselves about. This is what John David Jackson should have been telling Kovalev in the corner, if Kovalev even listens to him. You want to take this guy's legs away, hit him in the body. We need to make him more stationary so we can get our big power shots off. Andre Ward made an adjustment after getting dropped by that right hand. He never got caught flush by the right hand for the entire fight after that. Yeah? So, in order to land the right hand again, you need to make him stationary. You need to go to the body. Another thing, Kovalev was following Andre Ward around the ring. He wasn't cutting the ring off effectively. Now, he did cut the ring off quite well in the Hopkins fight, but Hopkins, being a much slower-footed fighter than Andre Ward, it was easier to do. But in the fight against Ward, he wasn't cutting the ring off. He was following Ward around and wasn't trapping him in the corners and stuff like that. Again, another mistake on Kovalev's part. These are things he's going to have to rectify for the rematch if he's going to win it. And lastly, this is the second fight in a row now where Sergey Kovalev has faded down the stretch. Now, whether you thought Kovalev won the fight or Ward won the fight, however you scored it, you would have to be blind not to see the obvious. And that was that Andre Ward finished the fight with a lot more energy and a lot more gas in the tank than Sergey Kovalev did. Kovalev was tired in the second half of the fight. And yes, some of that has to be down to the body punching that Andre Ward was able to get off. But this is the second fight in a row. You look at the Chilemba fight. Kovalev was also tired in the second half of the Chilemba fight. 2 fights in a row now where his opponent has finished the fight stronger than he has. Yeah? In terms of stamina anyway. I know Chilemba wasn't really trying to win the fight at the end, but Kovalev didn't really have much gas left in the tank in those late rounds against Chilemba, and similar against Andre Ward. He even admitted in a post-fight press conference, yeah, I was tired and whatnot, whereas Ward seemed to have all the energy late in the fight. He actually started breaking free from those clinches because in the early part of the fight, Kovalev had a vice-like grip on Ward on the inside and he was just walking him back to the ropes and Ward couldn't get hands free and get punches off. But as Kovalev got tired, Ward was able to get punches off. He was able to wrestle free from the clinch and start hitting Kovalev in the body and, hitting him upstairs with shots. So, again, these are things that Kovalev is going to have to make provisions for. He's going to need to either find a way to stop getting hit with the body shots, because I think that had a lot to do with the fact that he was getting tired. And Chilemba also was able to stab Kovalev to the body here and there. So either find a way of reducing the number of body shots he gets hit with or increase the stamina, work on extra fitness in the late rounds. You have to look at Andre Ward as a 12-round problem. You can't look at him and think, I'm just going to crack him on the chin and knock him out. Which, again, for those of you who are disturbed by the fact there was 3 American judges, why was Kovalev not disturbed by it before the fight and his whole team? Why didn't they make that a crucial point? Why didn't they say, okay, we get neutral judges or the fight's not happening? We're the champion at the end of the day. We're calling the shots. Why didn't they do that? Because I'm telling you, people, they didn't think the fight was going the distance. And that is a mistake on their behalf. They're going to have to learn from their mistakes, and all this bitterness, all these sour grapes is not going to help Kovalev win the rematch. Can he win the rematch? Absolutely yes. He's a very talented fighter. He's a big puncher. He's the bigger man. He's the stronger man. He has skills, maybe not on the level of a Ward, because Ward has to have a ridiculously high skill level because he's not a big puncher, because he's fast, but he's not anything special in terms of his speed. So he has to be special in terms of skill. Yeah. In order to compete at this level, he has to be. Whereas Kovalev and many other fighters, because they're more physically gifted than Ward in terms of power and speed and stuff like that, they don't have to develop the skill level to the level of an Andre Ward. But, be that as it may, Kovalev can win the rematch. He can knock Andre Ward out. He's got the power to do it. But he can only do that if he learns the lessons from the first fight and rectifies the mistakes that he made in the ring. Forget about blaming everybody and all this kind of stuff. Rectify the mistakes that he made in the ring. When it comes to body punching, he was throwing a few jabs to the body here and there, but he really needed to go to town on the body. I mean, you don't want to go crazy and leave yourself completely open, but you need to make a concerted, calculated effort to throw more body punches. I think a left hook to the body would have been a good shot for Sergey Kovalev, because there's the body's more exposed on that side, and Andre Ward's right hand has absolutely nothing on it. Yeah, so you can afford to maybe once in a while catch a right hand on that side while you're going to the body, because there's nothing on that damn punch. Yeah, you're making an investment by going to the body. So if you do end up catching a few right hands, it's okay. You're making an investment to take Andre Ward's legs away. Yeah, obviously, again, you assess the situation at the time. You assess the round at the time. Okay, I'm ahead in this round. Can I afford to take a risk here and go for this left hook? It's all done on the fly. This is what intelligent fighters do. But yeah, that's what they need to be looking at. More body punching, cut the ring off better. Improve the stamina. Stop getting hit with so many body punches yourself, etc., etc. Work on your game for the rematch and you can win it. You certainly have the potential to win it. But the sour grapes and all that kind of stuff, it's no good. So I would suggest that Kovalev, not that him or his team are going to watch my videos, but just as a hypothetical or whatever, I would suggest that Kovalev concentrate on his own craft, on rectifying what he did wrong, and block out the nonsense that Kathy Duva is spewing out and all this kind of rubbish. It's all nonsense, particularly the thing about the grappling. As I say, Kovalev was the one doing the majority of the holding and not punching in clinches, whereas Ward was trying to punch out of clinches. That's what he does. That's what he does in all his fights. You go look at his fight against Carl Froch. Yes, he's in clinches and he's trying to punch out of the clinch. Kovalev don't punch out of clinches like most Eastern European fighters. I guess this is the way they're taught in the amateurs. They don't really have an inside game. Obviously there are some who do, but the majority of them don't seem to have an inside game. In fact, it's primarily fighters from the Americas, North America, and Central America, South America, Mexico, etc. That part of the world tend to have an inside game more than anybody else. They've really cultivated the skill of inside fighting. I remember there was a time when most British fighters had no idea how to fight on the inside. Well, some people might still say that now. Kell Brook can't fight on the inside, for example, but still, the fighters of the Americas, the whole boxing scene over there, they have cultivated the inside work, and Andre Ward is a prime example of that. So Kovalev is going to have to find a way, particularly late in the fight, if he's tired of continuing to nullify Andre Ward's inside game. And that may include a lot of the holding. I mean, as long as it's not excessive, a lot of the holding, which Kathy Duva accused Andre Ward of doing. I mean, Kathy Duva's just, she's bitter, she's twisted, because at the end of the day, Kovalev is pretty much keeping her company afloat. Let's be real. Without Kovalev, where the hell is Kathy Duva? She has nothing else. So she's extremely not only financially invested in Kovalev, but also emotionally invested, because she has nothing else. Anyway, people, I hope you got something from this video. Yeah, that's my view on it. I think that the bitterness is not going to help Team Kovalev, and they need to concentrate on figuring out what they actually did wrong in the ring and rectifying it. Let me know how you feel in the comment section below. It's your boy Hartman. I'm out.